Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Breathe More and Happy New Year. We are officially in a brand new year. I am really excited about this year. 2023 for me was really challenging. I am still processing a lot of the trauma that happened there regarding my health and my home. I am now in a new town. I have officially left Los Angeles and I'm in this small mountain town called Idlewild, surrounded by trees and nature. And I'm really excited for this new chapter. There's also a part of me that's nervous and anxious and worried because it's so different. But I'm listening to my intuition. I'm following the paths that are opening up for me. I really want path of least resistance this year. And so I'm leaning into that. For today's topic, this time of the year is really exciting because folks set intentions. I'm all about that. It's something that I guide people in January all the time. But one topic that I feel isn't talked about as much, and it's just as important, if not more, is the topic around closing chapters. And so before we start this new year, I'm going to invite all of us to take some time to reflect on chapters that need to be closed, things in your life that you recognize you've outgrown, that you don't want to carry into the new year. And so that's what we're going to do today. But before we dive in, I'm going to invite you to get centered by connecting with your breath. So inviting all of you to take a deep breath in through your nose and a slow, long exhale out. On the second deep breath, imagine that the muscles in your body are softening and letting go. Deep breath in and exhale. Good. And on this third breath, we're going to hold our breath at the top after you inhale. So let's take a deep breath in and let's hold our breath to the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and exhale. Beautiful. So now your energy is centered and grounded and a little bit more present. Thank you for breathing with me. All right, let's dive into this closing of chapters. So I want to share with you recently, before I left Los Angeles and left my house, I did a ceremony with Steffi Garcia. We recently actually just met, like the beginning of December. I was getting rid of a lot of my stuff because I'm in a temporary home right now and the other stuff is in storage. So I was purging and I got rid of a lot of yoga mats. She's also a healer and a teacher. And so she came by and picked them up. I got to learn a little bit more about her work. And it turns out that she is a facilitator of rituals, all different types of rituals. And so I told her my situation where I was leaving. And I asked her, I'm like, hey, have you ever done a ceremony to like leave the house? Because I really wanted to honor my house. This house that I was living in, I was here for 7 years. And I moved into this house because I had ended my marriage. I moved in with my sister, so we were looking for a place to move in together. And it was the beginning of a new chapter in my life. And a lot happened over the last 7 years in this house. I launched my business. So the work that I'm doing officially became a corporation, officially became like what it is today. I manifested so many incredible things. I was photographed for the LA Times for that front page feature that I had a few years ago, captured in that house. I ended relationships. I started relationships. I became a dog mom. I experienced so many beautiful things, so much heartbreak as well, so much grief because my little TJ also transitioned in this house. So there's a lot of memories. And oftentimes I feel like we focus on the new. We get really excited about the new job, the new relationship, the new house, and we're just so forward focused. And it's rare for us to really pause and take the time to even honor the shelter, the home, the house that so much of our life happened in. And so that's what I did. And it was a beautiful ceremony. I had been super busy and still am creating new offerings for all of you. I'm so excited to announce it real soon and doing sessions with my clients that I really hadn't had time to sit with my emotions and to reflect and really be in the energy of closing this chapter. And so that morning, which also happened to be a full moon in Cancer, I was very emotional. And I'm starting to get emotional right now, just thinking about it again. As soon as Steffi arrived to my house and started to set up this beautiful altar for me and opened the portal for this ceremony of endings and new beginnings, I just started to cry. So I gave myself permission to feel the grief because I'm also leaving this house not in the way that I thought I would. I had set the intention that I'm going to leave this house once I'm a homeowner. I had a great deal on the house, like really affordable. It was a single family home. Neighborhood wasn't great, but it had so much. It was actually something that I also manifested, so much that I needed and that I wanted in a home. And I really thought, and I was holding the vision that my next move would be into my own home. And that's not the case, but that's okay. And so I guess also just letting go of that dream. And as I was sharing, like taking a moment to honor all of the moments, all of the experiences that I had in this house. And that's exactly what happened. She guided me to think back for the last year of this house, what was happening, what came up for me, as I haven't fully shared, but my house got flooded with the storms. And it turns out that there was mold in this house. And that explained a lot because for years I had been feeling sick and the doctors, they didn't know what was wrong with me. This will be multiple podcast episodes because there's a lot of information that I want to share with folks. But anyways, it was a really, really traumatic experience. There was a lot of advocacy that I had to do for myself to get the situation remediated, taken care of. There was a lot of gaslighting. Physically, my health was terrible, like exhausted, brain fog. My hair was falling out. It was a lot to handle, all while as well holding space for my clients and launching and doing what's required to have my business. And a lot of this year, I also couldn't physically be in my house because there was construction happening or because it was so contaminated that the air quality, my nervous system, but also my immune system couldn't handle it anymore. So I lived so much of last year out of a suitcase, and that was really taxing as well on my body and my nervous system and my stress. So giving myself the time to reflect on that. And despite of all of that, how strong I am and how resilient that I still used my voice and said no. And I asked for what I needed. And for the most part, I also got it. The fact that I launched, that I put out into the world so many big projects that had been on my board of projects that I wanted to birth into the world, like this podcast, my retreat in Sedona. There's a lot of really big things that I also did this year, despite not having a safe home to live in, despite all of the chaos, despite not feeling well in my health, energy wise. So, really acknowledging that warrior that's in me, that fire within me that doesn't give up, and recognizing that that's the energy and acknowledging that I'm taking with me into this new town, home chapter of my life. And also looking back at 7 years, looking back because I'm also leaving Los Angeles and I've been here for the last 19 years. And so Steffi guided me to think back to the 23-year-old me who moved to LA without a job, with only 1 month's worth of rent, literally like rent and then my expenses, $2,000. And then after that, I was screwed. But holding the faith, knowing that it's going to happen, so fearless, like truly, and just going for it and manifesting like crazy. Then opportunities in a job and auditions because I wanted to be a TV host then. And so celebrating and honoring and recognizing that part of me who wants to be more a part of my life. She wants to take up more space. So connecting with her was really beautiful. It was definitely a roller coaster of emotions in the ceremony. A lot came up as I'm sharing with you, and also just giving gratitude for myself and having compassion for myself because I am also very hard on myself. And a lot of times I do. I'll be completely honest. I beat myself up. I feel so much that I am so behind on my life. Like my life looks very different than what I thought it would look like. And it's for the good. Like I'm grateful for it. But again, a lot of unrealized dreams that I thought would happen in this city that didn't and may never do. So, the act of closing chapters and taking time, it doesn't have to be a full on ceremony that's guided by someone, although it's a really powerful and beautiful way of doing it. But it's a really important part for our growth. And it does require fully saying goodbye, letting go, making peace with the past. And I feel like a lot of times we resist or don't even recognize that that would be helpful because it might require us looking at painful things, because it might have us look at ourselves and acknowledge mistakes that we made or just painful things that we tend to not want to revisit. Like we just want to go to moving in the forward. We want the new, we want the positive, we want comfort. And looking back takes courage, but it also creates the space for the new. And this is a really important part and something that I would love for you to take away from this episode, where energetically, like I truly believe that there's imprints of everything that we carry with us. There's energetic cords, entanglements. This is work that I do with my clients. And I have seen almost the immediate shifts of my clients when we do this work of letting go, of closing that chapter, of untangling the energies. I see this a lot in relationships or when someone wants to manifest a new partner where they're still energetically tied to another person, whether they're conscious of it or not. Or it might be the former partner that still has a claim on them. And so while we're doing the breath work, I'm guiding them to imagine releasing it, to imagine returning the energy that they acquired of the other person. And it doesn't have to be necessarily another person. It can also be like a job or a circumstance. So collect your energy from the other person or situation. And also you remove their energy from your space and giving it back to them. So it's almost like it's an exchange of gifts. And it's a really beautiful and powerful practice. I have done it for myself where I'm cord cutting and I know immediately the person felt it because they'll reach out, they'll be immediately defensive, want to talk, what's going on. And I tend to do a lot of this work before I actually have a difficult conversation just to set the foundation for it, set the groundwork for it to move forward. And it's just fascinating how people can feel it and they react to it. I also recently hosted a private retreat, this VIP retreat for one of my clients. She wanted to celebrate her birthday, and it was a milestone birthday, and she wanted to do something special to really step into her power and be intentional of how she wants to move forward in her life. But before we were able to do that, we did a series of exercises and rituals to again close the chapters. She acknowledged that there were a lot of areas in her life that her energy was leaking, a lot of pending things, things that she was avoiding, procrastination, things she was still doing due to guilt and obligation and fear of what are people going to say if I no longer participate in this. So I guided her to do that, to speak her truth, to move the energy, to feel confident in her decision. And we just had an integration session yesterday. And she shared with me that she's been taking care of her to-do list, having those conversations. And what's beautiful is that fear that she had before going into this retreat and ceremony that we had, expansion ceremony, the way that people received the information, because she was in a place where there was clarity and confidence and a lot of love and compassion for the other person. It was so well received. And she even got feedback regarding that on how grateful they were on how she communicated that and recognizing how that must have been a difficult thing for her to do. And also her just physically having more energy because she isn't spending all of this energy doing a million things that she shouldn't be doing. So it's a really powerful practice and allows you to create a new foundation. I always talk about building foundations, and they're so important in order for us to move forward with ease and confidence and trust in ourselves. And so, having ceremonies like this, doing exercises where we're closing chapters, closing energy leaks, having difficult conversations, no longer avoiding, but doing the difficult things that need to be done in order to move forward. Again, it creates the space, also empowerment for other people to step up as well and help out and contribute and share their gifts. So it's a gift not to yourself, but to others as well. An unresolved past can act like an anchor that's holding us back from moving forward completely. I've given you several examples of how that can manifest. And you might be thinking, well, and I still have had forward mobility. Like I still manifested that. I still got that new job, that relationship. I'm working towards my dreams. Great, but how easy has it been? And have there been any challenges? And is it exactly what you wanted, or are you also just settling? So, just being honest with yourself, I think it's really important. And I also invite you to reflect, well, if you feel that you haven't completely closed a chapter, why? What's the fear? What's the worry? What haven't you said? What are you holding on to? A lot of times I also feel that not completely closing a chapter is a manifestation of scarcity. I'll own it as well. I did it for so long with my acting career, where even though I was at a point in the last few years where I didn't even like it anymore, I didn't like the process of auditioning. It just sucks. And I found that it was a waste of my time. And yet, with all of that, whenever I would get an audition, like I would get annoyed and I would view it as a waste of my time. Well, of course, that thought that I was having was influencing my performance. So I hadn't booked anything in years because of that. And yet I was still so afraid to fully let it go because my scarcity mentality, it's like, well, if I book at least one commercial, I mean, that could easily be like 30 grand and just passive income. Like, do I really want to give that up? Let me like just hold on to it just in case. Just in case what? Just in case my business doesn't work out. Right. And so consciously, unconsciously, I was vibrating that energy. And yeah, I mean, my business was doing well. Again, I was still getting auditions, but it kept taking me out of my flow. It kept bringing up feelings that I didn't want to feel. It brought up resentment. It brought up negativity. And so last year in 2023, that was one big courageous thing that I did. I finally closed that chapter in the way that that looks like, where I emailed my agents. I gave them gratitude for the years of support that I got, all of the auditions, all of the work, the support. And I told them that I was no longer doing it. And again, it felt scary, but at the same time, I felt so free. And let me tell you, I do not miss it. I don't miss the auditioning. But the beautiful thing is, I then set the intention. I still want to work with brands that are aligned with my values, but I want it to be easy. I want them to come to me. And you know what? That happened last year. I worked with a brand that I believe in, that I already consume, and I created content for them. I created meditations for a campaign of theirs, and it was easy. And I got to share myself, my gifts with so many people, millions of people that saw the videos. So just because we're closing a chapter doesn't mean that that thing that we were doing in it or what it brought into our life is going to completely disappear. So if there's a part of you that's also afraid of fully letting go because of what if, because that's all I got right now, I'm going to hang on to this guy that I'm just occasionally reaching out to. This isn't me, by the way. This is another client that I'm thinking of. She has this guy that she just like hits up whenever she gets lonely. But what she really wants is a partnership with someone, is a husband. She wants to have a family. And so I've told her, as long as you're still reaching out for that, you're not creating the space, you're sending out mixed messages to the universe on what you want. So I've invited her, if she's ready to, fully let go of that and really set the intention, as scary as it is, and to take the aligned action to put herself out there and meet a new person that's more aligned with how she wants to live her life. I have a million examples of the importance of closing chapters and the beautiful things that manifest once we take that courageous step. So my invitation to you is to take a moment today to look at your life and think about being really honest. What have you outgrown? What habits, situations, relationships, thoughts, stories do you not want to take into the new year? What have you outgrown? What isn't serving you? What is holding you back? And write a letter to them or sit in meditation. Or if you want help with this, please reach out. I'd love to help you. And I always love incorporating the element of fire when I do practices like this. So I write it down and then I burn it. And I hold space with love and gratitude as I'm seeing these things that I've acknowledged no longer serve me, transmute their energy into ashes. And then the more courageous actions have to be taken, which is having the difficult conversations, which is making those actual changes, which is being vulnerable and putting yourself out there, which is no longer procrastinating, regulating your nervous system so that you feel safer, so that you're connecting with your self-trust, that it's all going to work out. It's It's all going to work out. Yes, it is. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I truly appreciate you. I'm grateful for your support. I'm grateful for you sharing my podcast with your friends on social media, for your reviews. Thank you. And I can't wait to connect with you again real soon and move into some fun stuff like manifesting. I'm gearing up with putting out into the world a Manifest Abundance Challenge, which will be completely free. So stay tuned for that. Probably in my next episode, I'll have all the details for that on how you can sign up. So, yay, excited for that. All right. Have a good day, and we'll be in touch real soon. Bye.